are not Kane fucking Constantine. You have not been through this rigmarole over and over and over again.
Rigmarole.
So,
sorry, Giuliani. Just gotta get that out.
I expect there to be a couple snags here and there. I mean, you got to get through the whole, basic, introduction to this kind of fucking thing with running a neutral combat sim. Yeah, it's to be expected.
Can I interject?
Yes.
It is a good thing that Kane is not doing this anymore, because the last few attempts were very, very, very bad.
It wasn't
Shit blew
Kane's
up
fault.
bad.
It wasn't.
Yes,
Kane's
it was.
fault. No, it was
I
his,
assure you.
his admin ladies.
Yeah, but
Kane let it happen.
Kane chose
when
them.
your admin staff is a problem, you need to choose to replace it, is what I'm saying. And so that was the problem.
Jessica.
Yeah, so it's even more Alliance Navy staff and no staff from any other groups. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jessica, the reason why that won't happen is because the group people that are part of this community have a long-standing relationship with a lot of each other, and people have a hard time letting shit go sometimes, which is something that I'm trying to help with, giving people an opportunity to talk without being like one of these, we have AP for some things, we have TCP for other things. Those are basically not really
This is a
alliances.
location for people to
This is the exact reason why I recommended Sage to be our representative, because if you would have picked me, I told you straight away I would be biased as fuck, because I would.
Yeah, I mean,
And
which
I
at least
know
you
it.
can admit that. But the thing is,
Yeah.
let me continue because I'm gonna lose track. I'm extremely I have a bad brain, so I will lose track. I am not
Yeah,
new
shit
to the
happens.
community. I've been here for 10 years. I've just kept my nose relatively clean and not done anything.
Yeah.
The worst thing I ever have done is I Fizdie linked Vanguard's base. Worst thing I ever
Well,
did. There it is.
Nice.
No, that's
Oh.
not the worst thing he ever did.
Okay, there was some other things, but regardless.
Ran well before I did.
Yeah, regardless. But basically, what I'm trying to get to is the fact that I'm paying for this sim out of my own pocket. Like, there's small amounts of money coming in through the vendors and stuff like that. But I did this because I wanted to do something good for the community, because I don't want my fucking legacy on Second Life to be building a fucking sim, taking advantage of furries for money.
Why
Like-
not?
But
I don't know.
Yeah, that's my legacy.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
it's a
my
pretty good
legacy.
legacy.
The SLC in a nutshell.
But now I'm doing it a different way. But basically, what I want to get to tonight is I want people to have an opportunity to speak up any sort of concerns they have, and for you guys to just be able to talk things out. If you guys have concerns about another group's gear, state it respectfully. Don't be a dick about it.
I have 900 million concerns, but I'm too drunk to give a fuck right now, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that's where Sage should probably step in on those ones.
Probably. I'll let him speak for me when I need him to speak for me, because I'm like way too fucked.
Yeah, so
I'm here for comedy relief.
yeah, there are some rule changes coming into effect. We're not going to be making rule changes in the middle of the day from now on. They're going to be made at
At
midnight.
the end of the night, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there is a rules updater now, so they will go out into the sim, the 3 different locations the rules are at. There's no excuse to not know the rules. If you have, or if you're on the sim, you're expected to abide by the rules. Trying to circumvent the rules with bullshit excuses and finding loopholes, I will still hurt your balls.
That's our specialty. That's Takoi's specialty. Loopholes. Baby.
Yeah, we're not
Let me.
loopholes.
Yeah. The rules are not up to your interpretation. They're up to ours. If we tell you that you are doing something,
Shut up for that. Nobody cares.
I think more people than you care.
Yeah, Villani, if you
We're,
please,
listen,
not,
we're
not
not
right
gonna
now,
be
please.
we're not gonna be dicks about it. I mean, we're trying to be cool. All right, we're not gonna be dicks about it. We might do something.
all right.
Yep.
Anybody else that begins being disruptive will have their talk power removed.
So, continuing on, before I lose effect, basically, the rules changes will be updated as of tonight to include a few things that needed to be added. I fucked up today and updated the rules like really late last night, and they didn't get pushed through the vendor because I'm a dumbass and I didn't click the button, so people didn't get
Good
them.
job.
That's Dread's fault for not making it happen automatically when I drop it in there, but whatever.
That's probably a good thing more than anything.
Probably,
Yeah.
more than likely. Let me give someone else is requesting speak rights. I'm not going to be giving them to everybody. It's just if you're a scripter, I might give them to you because I want to hear what you have to say. Dat Boot. Where's Dust Boot at?
Big white circle.
Big white circle.
Should be towards the top.
There he is.
What a name.
Where's he? He's not in here.
It's Big
the
White
fuck?
Thing.
Yeah, let me
Oh, damn, I'm retarded.
I've been.
There we go. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, so continuing on, rules changes. What's going to be happening? The rules changes that were just added today. There's going to be some modifications after we test some stuff to check it all. Okay, so apparently our sim's about to get the shit creeped out of it. So,
Throw it
yeah,
on access.
Wow, no way.
yeah. So that'll be fun. Just got that message. Anyways, moving on.
That's not a fun fight to start when, you know, I'm sitting in here.
Yeah. Where's Sage at? Sage, you might want to talk to Villani about that.
Yeah, because that's
I'm
going to end
trying.
very badly for Vela Prime. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into this whole griefing bullshit. I'm trying to keep a fucking.
I'm going back to Hellfire.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a fair sim here.
If you'd like, I can try and calm Villani down.
Not negotiate with terrorists.
I'm just trying to like make some fucking what do you call it? Sauteed onions with some shit. So
You want to share?
All right.
I thought
Well,
you were gonna say
just
you
so you
would
guys-
some-
you never
Hold on,
actually like
hey,
dinner
hey,
advice.
hold on.
Okay.
Stop talking
Fuck
over
that,
each other.
dude.
Goddamn.
Chill, relax, guys. So Takoi, it's been nice having you guys here. But I guess you guys are being told not to come here anymore. So I will see you guys around, I'm sure.
Oh god.
You know,
You guys should start your own group.
Have fun with
Villani's
that.
drunk and don't actually listen to them when they're drunk.
Yeah, well, the thing is I'm not going to have that sort of disruption bullshit happening. I understand. I like
No, I
Villani, and I've
completely
talked.
agree with the mute decision.
Yeah, and I've talked to Villani multiple times, and I've gotten along with Villani so far. And I understand people drink and shit, but I don't need to be putting up with that fucking
Yeah.
nonsense.
Well, here's the reason why I'm
Waiting on it.
The reason I muted him is because he kept admitting he was drinking and that he was going to be disruptive, and then he was disruptive the moment I had said something about the rules being up to our interpretation, not yours as a guest in a sim. Niv has given us power to enforce the rules. Just because you're interpreting them a different way than the moderator administrator communicating with you doesn't mean that you're in the right. At the end of the day, Niv pays for the sim.
While you can argue and try to speak your piece, you know, it's ultimately up to the mods, the admins, and ultimately at the end of the day up to Niv to, you know, to decide what works best for everybody involved.
Yeah. So
Feel bad for
It's a
the-
community effort at the end of the day.
I feel bad for the Takoi people that actually want to fight here.
Yeah, okay, I also want to just, like, bring this up real quick, although I should probably turn off my music while I do it. I'm gonna get distracted. Oh, there we go.
No,
All right.
keep the music on, make it louder.
Right at it. So, the other thing is that some people might not like, you know, oh, well, they might interpret it this way or that way. Remember that the staff is here to interpret it to be as good for you and everyone else as possible. It's not interpreted to be biased. It's not interpreted to stop on your fun. It's interpreted to make sure that everyone can have fun without issues.
This is also why Niv has been trying to make things as neutral as possible for everybody. So
it's
even if
that-
a moderator's in a group, they still have to read things as neutral as possible.
That's why.
Hey, can you turn on push to talk while you're cooking, dude?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, clean
Yeah,
dishes.
I just want to bring that up because I realize that some people are going to look at a rule, interpret it away, and they're going to look at it and say, my interpretation makes a lot of sense. But then the mod might have a different interpretation of it, and they'll go, well, I don't understand that. The mod might have to stretch the interpretation a little bit to make sure it's fair for everyone. So
And
just
you're
please
more
keep
than
that in
welcome
mind.
to make a case for your argument about the rule or how you interpreted it in the Discord. But at the end of the day, the mod or admin has
Yeah.
the final say.
I was
yeah,
just
going
gonna
on.
mention, always like try and talk to each other first, but go to a mod. Don't always go to Niv because he's too busy.
Yeah. The
Um,
one last thing is like what Hadet said. You can still talk about the interpretation later, but in the meantime, in the very immediate moment where the mod says this is how it's currently being done, please do it that way. That way, the mod doesn't have to treat you like you're hostile or something like that. You know,
And
just,
ultimately, let me just kind of interject on that one. There is a tier list, like how things go. Mods should get notified first before an admin has to get involved. Ultimately, I should be dead last. I know that people feel comfortable talking to me about things, but I'm getting overwhelmed as hell. It's to a point where I don't even know what to do. Like I can't get shit done. I'm trying to catch up in Final Fantasy, and I can barely do that. Like I'm just trying to get kind of caught up. But yeah, just go to the mods first, and please don't. I've had a few cases now where people have said things like, I don't care when the mod says something to them. If you continue doing that and saying I don't care when one of the mods say to do something, I've given them there's a screenshot of what I said, that if you decide to disrespect one of the mods and not listen to them, that they have within full rights to fucking grief you. Like, I don't care. You need to, like, this is a neutral combat sim that I built to try to be nice to everybody and give something for you guys to do. and try to bring new life into the community. And we're building some projects to try to help new groups. If someone wants to open a new group, we're building projects to be able to help them like have gear to start off with. And I'm going to help them get armor and shit like this. We're doing good things. And I don't want to get that ruined. Like, that's pretty much what that is. So if you guys can respect that, everything will be Gucci. Like, everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. But ultimately, you guys have hatred for each other for some unknown reason. Well, there's not an unknown reason. You guys have done some shitty stuff to each other over the years. The group thing, and people will try to sow discord within the community all the fucking time. But that's not what I'm about here. I'm trying to stay out of the fucking politics nonsense, and I intend to continue doing so. I'm in AP because it's a fucking shit show, and it's hilarious sometimes. I'm in Concord because I like to see things die.
AP
Got
is the fray of Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just say a little piece right there. Okay, so just because someone's telling you to tone it down a little bit doesn't mean they don't want you to have fun. There's gonna be more fun if you tone it down and don't act like a retard.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we brought that up a little
Pulling
earlier.
back a little bit does not end the fun.
Can we move on to rules changes? I think that about covers everything.
Yeah.
Regarding that.
Like most people, their behavior is a different story.
Yeah. So continuing on, rule changes. The big changes that are happening there, Hadet, if you want to, wait, you don't have do you have the new ones that I just sent you that I added things to? No?
I don't have the Hayspin one, but I can cover the ones that I added last night.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you
do
want.
that.
Okay, so the first thing that I added to the rules last night is that deployables need to obey the same rules as ordnance, be it a turret or an interceptor. If your interceptor needs to be raycasted. If it's a turret, it needs to be raycasted as well. It also needs a visual representation of the trajectory that it is attacking either an avatar or a munition or whatever it is doing on it, be that a ribbon particle or an actual physical prim that's firing from it. The other thing that I added to the rules last night is deployables must not be repairing other deployables. All repairs need to be handled via an avatar attachment that replaces either an offhand or main hand weapon. This is to prevent people from just throwing out a million deployables that heal each other and having an endless deployable field. On the topic of deployables, there will be a maximum of 3 barricades or deployables per person and a maximum of 5 landmines per person. In regards to repairs, again, because I lost my train of thought, repairs should not happen at a rate faster than 10 HP per second.
On that note, Hadet, repair grenades are effectively not allowed anymore, nor
Correct. Yes. Repair grenades are stupid, and I will explain my reasoning. At least with a repair drone that has health, you can destroy it. With a repair grenade, you throw it on something, and there's no way for somebody to counter that out, except hoping to out-damage the repair grenade. I hope that you guys do the mental math here and realize that just making repair grenades in general is a bad idea because of this, unless your repair grenade has some way to be countered out other than out damage what it's repairing.
Or interceptors. Interceptors does not count as a fucking counter.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the grenade heals a certain amount at a certain period of time, but it can be interrupted.
Secondary was trying to interject.
What's up, Secondary?
In the case of the repair grenades, the only time we've ever used them was to destroy Grand Fed's breaches, and the reason for that is because
they have
when
to
their
take
breaches deploy, it spawns an inverse LBA object, and the only way for us to destroy them is.
I actually wasn't specifically calling out Tukoi on that. There's a couple other groups that do that as well, and actually that was never complained about by anybody. I just added it to the rules before it became a problem, because I think that it's ridiculous, and if somebody's repairing something, there needs to be a way to physically counter them. Vehicles cannot repair themselves. This means that people seated inside vehicles cannot repair the vehicle they are inside as well. I did not actually add that to the rules about the people being seated inside the vehicle, but the rule about vehicles not being able to repair themselves is already there.
Hadet, 2 questions about that. That disallows the Veltec and Tukoi nano clouds released from the tank, yes?
Correct, yeah. So if the tank has a self-repair ability, it is not allowed to be used in the sim. However, as long as you think you can refrain from using it, we're not going to tell you don't use the tank itself because it's an optional function in the tank.
And secondly, what about tanks that have hatches on top of the vehicle that you can be shot out from? Are you allowed to repair from that by any chance?
No, because you're still seated in the vehicle.
Even if you can get shot off of it?
Correct. Because if I have to make an exception for one vehicle, I have to make an exception for every vehicle.
I have a question as well. One of the vehicles I'll be working on in the future will have a function to where it temporarily engages a shield for 5 seconds that renders the vehicle invulnerable. Are such abilities
Not allowed.
Not allowed? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
What about interceptors on vehicles? Are those still being allowed?
I think we should just talk about interceptors for a second.
Yeah.
Is there anything being added about ammo counts and cooldowns on
I
interceptors?
want to add that at the end of the night tonight.
Already
but
did.
I wanted to have a
Okay.
did you
Yeah, I'll get to that if you're done.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, moving on. What I've added to the rules is I made some clarification changes regarding jetpacks and in the rules under what is that? Vehicles and armor. That was not clear. Vehicles and armor are it's in like mechs and planes and shit like that. That is Friday and Saturday only. Friday being free for all day, where you guys can basically almost grief each other and I don't give a shit. Saturday being vehicles day. Deployables are allowed at any time. That's not a problem. Deployables are cool here. The changes that I made regarding the interceptor / raycast protection and stuff like that, anything that's along that line, including attached stuff. The attached ones are kind of an iffy territory. That's
I would just ban them outright.
So we're probably gonna ban those because people do stupid shit like the Dog of War one. So basically what it is interceptors and raycast protection items need to have an HP value of 100 or less with an expendable ammo count, which means you need to set an ammo count within your script that it can basically intercept X amount of things. And once it does that, it has to reload.
Wait.
Yeah, but you should specify the exact ammo count because from that interpretation, somebody could just show up and give it 100 ammo. You know,
100 ammo, like a 5-second reload.
Okay, what is a reasonable ammo amount?
15.
15, yeah.
15.
Between 10 and 20.
15 should be low and high enough value to where nobody's interceptors currently should be breaking that rule.
So
Right.
I actually have something kind of important as well.
Okay.
You should specify that if the hit points are above a certain amount, that you're limited to 1.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have someone dropping out like 100 hit point interceptors that are going to knock grenades down from everywhere.
Well, they're
You can
limited
only
to
have-
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
but you're
repeat that
still
again,
going to
please.
have.
Repeat that for me, please.
Basically, if the hit points are above a certain amount, limiting it to just 1. And I would choose a fairly low value for that, so
50.
you don't have.
Yeah. Or do you
Yes.
want to do 25? 50 or
25 is probably more reasonable because.
Who
I
even
think
has an
100 HP deployables in general is stupid.
The
Okay, so I'm
only
gonna say
interceptor I think of that has more than that was Decredum, which can be set up to 100 HP.
Yeah, interceptors in general, though, you can only really kill with bullets, so it should reasonably be something around the size of a magazine for a gun.
Yes, I'd say 50 is a good hard limit for if your interceptor is actually, yeah, if it's greater than 25 HP, you can only have 1 out.
okay, I'm gonna let you write that because
Yeah, okay.
you write good. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the copy once I'm done saving this.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you want to
Fix your bad
include that?
spelling.
Do you want to include that interceptors should have charges so that people can eventually hit them with grenades? It's just that.
Well, that's the ammunition.
That is the
that's-
ammunition.
Okay. Okay. All right. My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
And I have
Okay,
a
so that's-
question in regards to vehicles using heal stuff again.
Yeah.
A question was asked in our comms if vehicles which have that ability, as opposed to healing themselves, can they use that ability to heal other friendly vehicles?
Currently, not right now, but we might revisit that later on if we see it implemented in an interesting way.
In a non-stupid way.
Yeah, we're not trying to ban everything and shit. We're just trying to make it a little bit smoother in a lot of ways and
Yeah.
trying to make things. Because the thing is lone wolves and other smaller groups don't have this shit. Like for instance,
Yeah.
right now Voss does not have finished vehicles. Arasaka does not have finished vehicles.
What's an Arasaka?
Shut up, Deli. Deli does not have finished vehicles because Deli's a lazy little shark.
Arasaka Industries, that furry group.
And then
Guys, come on, let's
guys,
stay
one
on
at a
topic.
time.
Yeah.
Deli has Rodinia's vehicles. It's okay.
Oh, okay. And then
Also, I'd like to bring this up. If maybe a specialized vehicle was made for it, but otherwise,
That's what he's talking about.
You could be looking at a 500 HP repair unit, and that just sounds ridiculous if you think about it that way.
And then also there was one other group I forgot that does not have vehicles right now. Netragon does not have vehicles right now.
Integra probably doesn't have one right now.
Yeah.
We don't
So
have
there's
an
quite a few
official
groups.
one, but I have personal ones. But that's
Yeah.
irrelevant.
So there's a few groups that don't have vehicles, so that's kind of, we're trying to smooth things out. So when people get vehicles, we can kind of set a baseline at error that people can be like, follow here, and maybe, just maybe, people start thinking like, oh, maybe we don't need to have such retarded rules at our own sims. Maybe we can borrow a few from error and use these because shit's working out there. Maybe, who knows? What you guys do outside of error, not my fucking problem. Moving on, rules. You already touched on the repairs thing, so that's good. I want to emphasize on rule number 7 now. Frau needs to fix the texture. Less crying, more dying. This means if it's a small, stupid complaint regarding something like you died, get good and go shoot them back in the face. If it's an actual serious complaint regarding banned equipment or something that's super sketchy, let us know. But it's been a lot of complaining based upon group bias right now, and I need that to not happen. Oh yeah, Hokusai didn't show up. God, I'm a dick. Herwin,
chicken.
Yeah, I gave a Herwin group representative role, but it didn't give him talk powers. So
unmute. It's because the channel Discord.
Oh, I got you.
I have a
There you go.
question as well. In
Yeah, fire away.
regards to the movement system and the jetpacks, I've mentioned it in suggestion channel before, but I know y'all mentioned talking about potentially recalling that for the time being and banning jetpacks. Is that final, or is that still up in the air right now?
Ooh, on that topic, I would like to get the admin staff to test the grappling hook as a potential replacement.
Why don't you give us 24 more hours to decide what we want to do about that? Because I was talking with Sephiroth about it, and I think the best thing we could do right now is continue to allow the horizontal movement enhancement of it. So, like, issue a hotfix that just removes the vertical movement enhancement for the time being.
Because I have no issues with the dash, but the jetpack, it allows you to go way too high, and
I absolutely
how
agree.
you get the cooldown is virtually non-existent.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. I would like to give Sephiroth like 24 to 48 hours to fix it so that we don't have to just outright ban it for the time being. You know.
Alright, Herwin's got something there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have something to bring up about just general combat stuff, by the way, Niv. Because I just noticed...
Sorry, I thought I heard Hoku for a second. My bad.
Yeah, that's her one.
No, that's her one there. So something I just noticed, Datbot actually has a solution to this. We'd probably just need to make a way to automatically detect people that are doing it. But if you look over here at Lightning, turn on hitboxes and look at him.
How do you turn on hitboxes?
Is it the Snorka avatar?
It is the Snorka avatar. And the problem is, like, you can adjust the shape so it's not extreme like that, but his shape just makes it extreme. And Datbot actually made something that puts a prim that follows them over top of them and essentially extends their hitbox out because it kills them if you shoot that prim. So there's actually a scripted solution to it. It's just I wanted to kind of point that out because it's something that...
What's the issue that this is solving, by the way?
It's just a general hitbox issue because
you can
I think
use
that mesh
it.
body fucks up hitboxes.
How is it a general hitbox issue though?
If you want to, you can use that issue to head clip because your camera still follows your head, but your head is way above the top of your head.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a half meter to a meter up is the problem.
Yeah, I got
the issue is that the Snokra in particular has an elongated neck, which stretches up the
above the
skull
hitbox.
position as well as the user's.
Refer to the discussion channel for an example.
I got you. I understand.
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
just saying there's a scripted solution to it instead of having to just yell at everyone.
I have a scripted solution for it too. It's called Cyclone Fur.
It's a bad solution, but good altogether.
The final solution.
If Datbot is willing to provide that, I'm 100% support of that to make the playing around fair.
Datbot was asked to in the past, and he has yet to release it. So
I was just putting it in a box that detects the body and reses it out on people.
That's what I would do.
As soon as I have that done, I'll come and drop one in the sim.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And this is supposed to fix basically hitbox not being the size of an avatar when they're using
For
certain body
specific
types.
ones. Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
to extend their camera position.
Now, what are you using? Just like a volume detect box that floats above them or something?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
that's what I
smart.
figured.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
moving on from that, just since we have a solution to the Snorka Av thingy. So I was called biased by a few people today. I want you guys to know you can think that I'm biased by not immediately, and this is going to relate to Takoi, so no one fucking talk. Takoi, you guys and Takoi, a lot of the groups in Takoi have not ever had a really good relationship because Takoi has a massive fucking armory of a lot of older stuff that's probably still being used and other stuff. The thing is with this neutral sim, my goal is that I want to give people a chance to modify what they're doing and modify their solutions and stuff like that. Every group that's shown up at the sim so far has made a few fuck ups. It's not Takoi specific. And I'm not being, like I said, I'm friends with a lot of people. I've gone to every single group basically and tried to introduce them to error and talk about what we're trying to do here. My goal is a community enrichment, and I want to give people a chance to change and make changes for the better. Villani has apologized to me for their outburst earlier. Villani is drinking. Villani is also going through some things. I'm going to give them a fucking break. You guys should too.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't going to hold it against him. I just need to be able to think at the time.
Yeah, so basically, there are some issues amongst people's armory that I'm going to individually reach out to people about that have been brought up, and we're going to see if we can make some possible changes. It's up to their scripters ultimately to decide if they want to make changes to make things more in line with what could be considered fair rules. Because that's what we're trying to do. I don't want to make a million fucking rules, but ultimately we're going to have to make some modifications from the original rule set to make things actually fair to everybody. Because, for instance, the mouse. We'll just use the mouse in this example. Cool as fuck idea. Not everyone can do it yet. I have talked to Datbot about maybe I keep talking to him about open sourcing that. It might happen, may not. Ultimately, if you're using LBA, this is a shill. If you're using LBA and you are on that GitHub, fucking fork it and report issues so we can get shit fixed and not have to see them anymore. Because the stupid bugs are annoying to deal with, and it's not benefiting the community by any method having those bugs still sitting in the system and everyone fixing them themselves. So please report issues in the future. So
the person.
The issue is that, sorry to interrupt, but the issue with the GitHub thing is I don't use GitHub, and I had no intention on doing. And I have reported numerous issues, as well as issued multiple corrections to the way LBA functions because of a lot of incidents regarding unintentional throttling and legitimate hit reports being dropped.
And we've also countered out some of your points with the fact that we can't necessarily make the system as efficient as possible without it being griefed. And so we're waiting on a few feature requests from Linden Labs, namely get object res time, to carry out those fixes. I acknowledged that you were right about that. However, we have to make a compromise to create the best solution for everyone, even if it isn't the best solution for you personally, which is why the system is open source and why you're capable of forking it. If you don't use GitHub, that's fine, but don't expect your issues to be validated very quickly when Dread and I both work full-time jobs, and so does Sin, and we can't keep track of every word-of-mouth bug that we hear. When the bug report is in a text format where the scripts are being stored, we're going to be able to keep track of it and touch back on it later, as opposed to getting a note card or an IM about it, or some fray notice where you're trash talking. The fact of the matter is that this has become a standardized system. Whether anybody dislikes it or likes it, it's standard now. And if you have a bug that you've found or you've made an improvement to the code, you can always make a pull request and we will review it. And that's what happened with LBA Slim, and that's why Sin is now an LBA maintainer on the actual GitHub master branch, because he improved the LBA Lite code by removing all the anti-grief stuff and making it operate faster. In my opinion, LBA Slim is the best way to go if you want your armor to take damage as well and you don't care about error reporting.
And for reporting, I mean, maybe there's a compromise there. Maybe it's possible to set it up so you have a box to click on and put your, I don't know how fucking GitHub works. I don't use it that often. I just maintain
There's
the
an API
server.
for it. Yeah, you can make a
There
box.
is an API for it, but that's extra work for two people that are maintaining this system for free.
Maybe other people can do it.
When you can just click a button that says new issue and type it out the same way that you would on the box in World, there's absolutely nothing preventing you from registering a free GitHub account. And there's nothing malicious about it if you're not hosting your code on it, for those of you that are worried about Microsoft owning GitHub. It's really like you guys are expecting, like, we've already given you a mile and now you're expecting, you know, even more.
I ain't expecting nothing. I was just saying that there is.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's an API for it, sure, but that's a lot of extra work that we have to do.
That's fair. So yeah,
only going to benefit a handful of people.
Exactly.
That's fair.
May I speak
On
for
a side.
moment?
Yeah, sure, Chris.
In regards to MBT LBA and why it's not open source yet, and I'm sorry to use you as an example for this secondary, people how you used to be were just scared that they're going to absolutely grief the shit out of us, and we have no idea.
And just punish the people griefing it. Don't punish everybody.
I've actually shown you a version of LBV that had the MBT functions in place, which utilized rotational angles to fucking figure that stuff out. So it's not like I'm not interested in something like MBT LBA.
No, it's not how you are now. It's how you used to be.
Yeah, well, let me interject and say that if somebody's going to grief it, it doesn't matter if it's open source or not.
Yeah.
And at least if it's open source, you can get bug reports from the people that don't intend to grief it, that know how to bug test it, to tell you how to fix it. That's been one of the big helping factors with LBA back when 2142 used to still be around. Amalia would report a bug and we'd be able to fix it. The functionality in MBT LBA was originally in the LBA 1 branch, and we took it out because IDT and I immediately made something that would just hit stuff from the weak points, and so. Yeah.
All right. So moving on from the LBA thing, we can take this offline.
I mean, I said
You
it,
wanna
I
add
don't know
something?
if anyone heard. It's like, instead of punishing everybody, like, well, I'm not going to open source this because someone's going to grieve it. Assume there's always going to be somebody who grieves it.
Doing about, or what's our
all right, thanks. Good talk.
prerogative when it comes to dealing with people using agent?
Agent list.
One
Yeah,
at a
hold
time.
on.
Hang on. Let Deli finish.
Yeah.
I was just
focus
going to
though.
say, stop punishing everybody for the acts of a few. If somebody's going to grief it, just fucking punish them.
Okay.
And then the question was, let me get real quick to the question that was asked by Corbin about what about each group making 1 or 2 new weapons. That's ultimately up to them if they want to. Scripters don't have to rework their armory exactly. There's nothing forcing them. They can just not use the stuff here if it's against the rules. Like if something is becoming a problem with the sim, we may ask it to be reworked or just not use it here. It's the group's choice.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some things that are going to pop up soon that might piss people off. That's going to show up on that list. But Sage had a question, so I'm going to let Sage answer theirs, and then secondary, it's your turn.
Okay. Are we going to make any rules based on raycast explosions from grenades?
Raycast explosions from grenades are already in the rules. It has to do with interruptible trajectories.
Does that work as well with gases and such?
Yes. Anything that damages you cannot damage you through object. So if you have something that's damaging people through objects, it is not allowed.
It's been like a standard for like 5 years now.
We goofed and might have not added that, or
no, it was in there. It was part of the
It's in there.
Oh, then I'm an idiot.
He mentioned that to me specifically earlier today.
Okay, then that explains a few.
What if it doesn't actually damage you?
What do you mean?
Hold on. Let people let's start. Just put a exclamation mark or a 1 or some shit in sim meeting discussion if you're on the voice or in here if you have a question, so I can order this a little better because it's getting unorderly. Okay. So, Sage, go.
Okay. As I was saying though about the grenades and explosions with the gases and such, we've encountered quite a few grenades on the Koi side, and I'm speaking for Decoy since they keep bringing it up to me in like massive IMs, that a few of the groups have been using gas grenades, and that's why they use the repulsors and shit, which of course I did at one point tell them don't use, but they used. It is what it is. If a few of the groups can double check their grenades on gas wise and or explosions and make sure that they fall in that raycast solution, because we have gas grenades, we have fire grenades and everything else that work in raycast. We also have some that don't, so I'll be sure to enforce that on our side.
Okay, let me say something really quick. So depending on who scripted it, some people's grenades will res their effects prims, which deal the damage. And sometimes they will end up in a wall when physics is chugging. Those effects prims, that is. And that might be why sometimes something that is raycasted may hit you through a wall. That being said, if that happens, just tell the person, hey, your thing's hitting me through the wall. And if it continues to be a problem with that exact same thing, then it's clear that the admin and moderation staff need to take a look at that.
Will do. Sounds good.
Okay, now secondary was next in line, so let's go ahead and have secondary, and then Ryo.
All right, I have 2 questions now in regards to something else. First was in regards to the agent list thing, and second is in regards to something else. The first question is people using agent list, namely people blatantly using agent list to basically have a long range, 5 meter wide fucking insta kill beam of death.
Okay.
I'm going to be about that.
I will, if you want me to, Niv, I can answer on that since...
I'm not a scripter, so have at it.
Okay, so because of the way that agent list and raycast work, unfortunately, the only way to determine whether or not somebody's using an agent list cylinder, box, cone, or whatever they want to call it, is via observation. So if you catch somebody doing something like that, we will observe them and we will handle it as we see fit. Usually when somebody's being really, doing that, it's blatantly obvious and they will be told to quit. And if they do not quit, they will receive a 24-hour ban because that's gay and it fucking ruins combat for everybody.
I won't name drop people, but there was an issue with one particular gun that was that I've sent Niv multiple messages about, but I'll just bring that up another time. The second thing,
if you want to DM the name of the gun to me, I'll just take a look at it and add it to the banned equipment thing later.
I'll do that. The second thing was the crap. I just had it on top. Oh yeah, when you're talking about ordnance and stuff which damage you needs to have line of sight, the deployable I was working on and that I got a few complaints about, which was referred to as the KJD, and how it functions. That thing functions without dealing any direct damage to the avatar, and in fact, the cloud only exists as a limitation of which the goal of the object is to force aerial avatars down to the ground.
It still needs to have line of sight. Anything that affects an avatar or a scripted object will require line of sight.
Right. That's the only question I had about that then.
No EMPs then.
Ryo.
So I have a few things. I was trying to respond to something that was discussed with Sage, but you said that it needs line of sight on avatars, but what about objects? Because I know some landmines,
I just answered that.
Some landmines put themselves inside of walls.
If you see a landmine inside a wall, notify a moderator because that is not allowed. And
partially sticking out of walls, such as like bouncing betties and other such things. That
be shot and
if it can be shot, it's okay. But if it's detonating through walls, that is a problem.
That's not what I mean. Because the problem is that if you cast a ray towards the center of the object at an oblique angle, it will hit the wall first.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It's still sticking out of the wall a good deal so you can see it, but it will hit the wall first.
Okay, so something you can do, like with a bouncing Betty, or a landmine for that matter, is have the effects emitter res out higher or further out from the object than the actual object itself. But, unfortunately, because Raycast in Second Life is not submesh accurate, you're always going to have problems with Raycast detection.
I don't know.
So use your best judgment.
I don't know if you're actually understanding what I'm getting at with this.
I think he's talking about detecting and killing those landmines.
Yes,
like,
killing the landmines. Yes,
okay.
If the landmine is partially inside the wall, like for a bouncing Betty, at an oblique angle, you're going to hit the wall first with your raycast check instead of the landmine, which is very visibly sticking out.
Extend the hitbox of the landmine. That's what I did with.
Yeah, my suggestion is make sure that the root is above the part that goes in the wall.
You also probably want to make the landmine itself a physics shaped non-object and use a box.
You guys are missing points.
Yeah, the point. The point I'm trying to get at is it's not me trying to make landmines, it's me having an EMP to deal with said landmines.
I'm aware of what you're saying. I'm telling you that the only way to solve the issue is for everybody to standardize the way that they're handling the collision boxes with their landmines, which is don't use mesh collision boxes on your mesh landmine.
Here would be my solution, though, okay? How about if someone's using landmines that go inside of an object and the root isn't outside of the actual surface, we tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. If it's a problem, notify a moderator, like Jessica said, and we will deal with it when it's a problem.
Because I know the EMP that I use is actually a modification of Dread's crack grenade, and that is not wall safe.
Well, that's dumb.
I have two more questions.
It was an old one that wasn't wall safe in the really old one. That's been fixed.
Why not? It's still dumb, Dread. Fuck you.
Well, no, it's been
Because
fixed since there was an oversight.
you gave it to me, and then people started yelling at me for it, and it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, scripters can fix this shit amongst each other. Ryo, did you have more?
I did have a couple more things. The thing on agent list. I personally, agent list in general, like I know PSS is a thing and stuff like that, but it's way too easy to spoof things, and agent list in general causes people to kind of like freak out more than Raycast does.
There's a very specific reason for that, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's because agent list, it's really easy to make something that's grief.
Yeah. The agent listing's kind of hard to figure out. This is something we could probably have a separate. Ideally, I'm probably just going to give like a scripter tag to everyone fucking in this Discord that's a scripter or something, and you guys can work it out.
To answer what the Raycast or suspected agentless weapon is doing, then don't allow it.
I have a little bit to add on to Ryo's thing when you have a moment.
It's pretty obvious when somebody's using agent list anyways.
Yeah. Well, retards a lot of times go, "Oh no, that's Raycast because this guy told me it," without anything to back it up.
Well, let's not yammer on. Let's move on. What's up, Chris?
I was going to go on about the EMPs thing for just a quick moment as to why ours are not Raycast. And I can run through the list of groups. As
I don't
care.
Honestly,
you guys
it's not Raycast,
only ones
it's not.
that do.
If you're gonna have to make an exception for one group, you're gonna have to make an exception for.
Yeah, no, your EMP grenade
That's
is not allowed.
exactly what I'm getting at. Literally, only you and Voss, Indivism and Voss, have Raycasted EMPs. Everyone else is everything does AT through walls.
Okay, then that's not gonna be allowed.
Yeah, that's
that means you have to actually pay attention to all the people that have all of these things because every group does it.
What we do is we say, hey, don't do that here, and then if they get caught doing it there, they get punished.
Okay, so
I do have two questions. One regarding to that thing Chris just brought up.
Okay.
The first question is, are we going to enforce Raycast checks on things like proximity AT/LBA damage?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm if that was going to be like a standing rule, because that's something I actually, and that kind of leads me to my second question, is because some of the stuff I'm going to be working on in the future and some of the things I'm actually working on right now, in certain states, they will force you to basically Raycast check your shit. If it cannot determine line of sight between itself and whatever's trying to damage it, it will not clear that check and won't take damage.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was going to be okay. So that way it can grandfather in people who aren't able to update or who cannot update their LBA to Raycast check in a timely manner.
Absolutely. There's going to be some errors every once in a while with that, but we've done that with some of our stuff, and it's been pretty reliable, so I don't see a problem with that. Like, if somebody... that basically, I consider that kind of grief. Like, because what you can do is you can check object resor key or even which object's sending the message to check for line of sight. So if you want to do that, I don't see a problem with it.
So
Tormented does bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Wait, Tormented where? What?
In the chat, he asked if
did you say
there's
something?
another radius limitation.
Not yet. However, if it continues to be a problem, then yes. Something you guys probably shouldn't be doing for your interceptors, which is a mistake we made early on and AN made forever, is using a volume detect sphere. And I'll explain, I'll try not to be super long about it.
Hold on,
if
I may interrupt just for a slight second, please.
Go ahead.
The LIS that, well, not LIS, but the interceptor that you're speaking of on Tokoi's, it's that big dome. That itself, like, that's not our interceptor as much as the DFGs were. The DFPs
the big prim that I'm talking about is a volume detect prim. Which is
it's old.
what I.
It needs modification. I will admit to this. I'm
not shitting on you guys because you're not the only group doing it. I just want to specify why it's a bad idea so people understand why I'm probably going to make a rule about large volume detect objects in the future if it becomes a problem. So if you just let me explain really quick.
Go ahead.
We can move on.
Just felt
So the way that the sim handles physics is through a process called physics occlusion. What this does is it morphs the sim into volumetric chunks to simulate physics in to make it easier on the rest of the sim. However, when you put a large volume detect object out, like something 64 meters or larger, you're essentially breaking physics occlusion because even though the interceptor might have a line of sight check between itself and where the volume detect thing actually took place, it's still receiving collisions. So if you're taking up 1/8 of the sim and lots of stuff is passing through the object, it's going to fuck up physics occlusion. I have to take this phone call. I'll be right back at work.
Pretty much volume detect, what he's
Hello?
getting to though is it's gonna cause a lot more causes him to have to use a lot more resources on running those collisions. Even though it's not technically physically colliding, it's still handled as a collision by volume detect.
Yeah, it's considering
So it
everything
kind
that
of
passes
hurts
through it
the
as a
sim.
collision event.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It'd be the equivalent of putting a giant piece of collision-based armor in the
It's
sky.
not a matter of it fucking with like script run or anything. It's the sim itself has to handle that regardless if the collision is actually hitting something or hitting something volume.
So just real quick, let's move on from script stuff. We can discuss this like offline too. So just real quick, one of the things that was asked about a specific item, because I'm about to go into group specific stuff, where this is also, like I said, not shitting on anybody. I just want to go over things. Cryptic asked about Lord RV having a gun that had an undersling, I guess, that did raycast explosion with your flight time. Gunlance. Okay.
It was not raycast delivered. It's literally just a 200 meter a second ball of energy that booms. As far as
okay.
Well, it's not the the Chronopulse.
They also have one that is a raycast delivered.
The Chronopulse thingy that shoots the white black
Chronopulse.
This will be checked. This will be checked later. We'll look into this as well. The things I want to touch on why certain things are banned right now. So let me pull up ye old banned equipment list and kind of explain this one. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with Grand Fed. Railgun. The reason it's banned is because it is a railgun that pierces prims. Cool fucking thing. It's supposed to be deploying kill deployables behind buildings, but at the same time, I already know and already got bitching regarding the fact that it is going to go through a wall. We have gone all these years trying to argue about the fact that prims through wall bad, and it's a cool fucking concept and it makes sense why it exists, but it's not something that should be in use here. Just because it will generate more bitching, and I don't need to deal with more bitching. Next up is Dog of War guns. I don't think I even need to explain that one. I have given a shit ton of people that have been pains in the ass to the community's chances to come here, including Design Clarity, and he is now permanently banned. He cannot fucking follow simple rules, and he also continued to use sketchy bullshit aimbotting or whatever the fuck else he was doing, so that's why he's gone. On the list also is Decoy Despot Tyrant Armor. We already know why that's there. Same reason the mouse is there. Foam's fucking stupid. So that's why Foam's there. Decoy GLM Standard Mine. That is a stick mine. Decoy is aware of why that is the case. And that is something that is old and...
Oh no. Fuck.
Few Laser is part of the Psionic Shield thing, which I know you guys have been complaining about a lot.
No. The FU laser is a part of the litigator.
Okay, so something different. My bad. See, that's what I'm saying.
I'm back.
I said something wrong.
It's
Welcome back.
basically a full-on railgun.
The rest of the The rest of the shit that's on the ban list is old, and there's a reason it's there. If something gets updated, we will take it off, or you make sure to version check your shit and put version dates in there, and it will be off the list.
Yeah.
There's just reasons some shit's on there. A big part of the list was coercion and decoratum shit. There's a reason for that. So,
I did have some questions regarding the decoratum stuff. I think I asked a couple of them before, but I also want to ask a general question about just banned equipment in general.
Yes.
I'll go with the latter question first. What is our stance with potentially banning gear from militaries that are no longer in service, namely due to a lot of the gear being out of date and in some cases questionably balanced?
We do that on a case-by-case basis already.
Okay.
Because I would say like something like the Ordo AK-12 isn't really going to break any rules here.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't break any rules, it shouldn't be a problem. It's not hurting anybody.
Which
that
guns?
Was something that was brought up because we had an issue where someone was using a 2142 gun and it was cutting through like 10 meters of prim to fucking kill people.
Well, then case by case.
Yeah, that one we will fix. If you report that to us, or you can send us the logs, we will fix that one real quick. What's your second part of it?
The first question, it was in regards to the ban on the Chaos Phobos bolter, because that was one of the weapons I created, and that was also a PSS weapon. So I was kind of wondering why specifically that weapon was banned, if it's something related to PSS.
Wasn't that the one that had the broken detection?
Might be, depending on which version it was.
Yeah, that was the one where, like, the Mark 8 or something like that. Like, it had, like, a bug in the PSS core. You told me about it the other night.
Okay, so that was... Okay.
Yeah, that was the reason why it was on there.
If they didn't change the version number, that's kind of, hey, good job.
Well, he might have been. The problem that we were having was not related to use secondary. It was with Decoratum continually renaming the object. So you could have very well updated it, but we'd have never known because they kept renaming the object over again. So we ended up having to go for use.
Because the original Phobos was Mark 8 and it did have the bug, but it was later patched. But if they're just using the old version of it, then don't even bother with the headache.
Now, I would like to look at something real quick. It's more or less about script performance. I've noticed that a few of the groups out there, even more guilty of it because Kirov has made mistakes of time to time, but double check your grenades and your explosions. Please make sure they're not mono.
Yes.
They're intentionally
that
mono.
64 kilobit memory, that thing sucks in a split second, and then you have rapid fire of that split second, it's going to shit on the sim.
Why is it 64?
Okay, let me explain.
Or why is it mono?
Okay, so mono grenades, not too bad. Recursively resing mono objects is bad. Like so with bullets and things like that. If your grenade is mono because it's doing a bunch of like detection stuff and it stack heaps if it's LSL, that's fine, but like you need a reasonable delay on that grenade. Otherwise it's gonna start impacting the sim very poorly.
Yeah,
I've always had this.
I mean,
one at a time. Sin
Yeah.
first.
if you're throwing a mono grenade out for once every 5 seconds, it's kind of alright. It's passable.
But see, when you stack multiple people doing that, think about that.
Yeah. I know at some point someone said something about needing it to be that for like reaction time for the for like munitions clamping to walls.
Yeah.
Certain ammunition, yes. But what I'm getting at is
what
like
we
straight
did.
up-
What I did to that seems to have fixed it. Is I just extended the raycast back a bit, pretty much. Like if it's a rocket or some shit, just like fucking don't be afraid to crank back the start distance in the raycast, like even fucking 4+ meters, if it means that it's not going to be going through a wall.
Mine's anywhere between 3 to 5. I
Yeah.
did that.
Because I remember at one point, Grand Fed were bitching at me for the plasma rounds having an issue with that, because you know they were old, so I just cranked the distance for the start back to like fucking 4 meters, and then it goes forwards 4 meters from the position. That pretty much solved the problem.
I was trying to do it not mono, like I was testing this in your guys' sim, and I sat there for a good 5 hours trying to get to work because Thunder wouldn't stop yelling at me about it, and the only way I could get it to do it was mono. That was the only way.
Okay, so I'm not really gonna enforce grenades mono versus LSL, but bullets LSL, please. LL set memory limit does not work the way you think it does. Do not use LL set memory limit in your weapons. It does not work the way you think it does.
And it's not necessarily that the grenade cores are mono, it's the fact that the grenade kill prims are mono as well. And we've had those come out with like 4.2 and up script time, and it just makes the sim jerk. This was an issue earlier today where we were fighting, and every time we set off one of Grand Fed's mines, the sim would literally stall and then jerk from the explosion risk.
There's absolutely no reason to have any kill prims as mono. I agree.
They're not mono.
Have
Unless
multiple
fuck up.
showing the kill prim known as HE lethal reporting very high script times because it's rezzing out in mono. I'm not too sure if that was intentional or not, but that is an issue we have documented.
Hang on a second. Hang on. If it's rezzing out on your position, but then it has something in it that uses like the on res and converts it from a integer to a key or whatnot, so it can track someone in case there's res Q. But if it tries to res on your position and it's got that in there, it'll actually show up with a high script time from the on res.
They're not mono.
Yes.
Now that being, I'm not gonna debate the semantics. Like, if you catch something that you think is kind of fishy, just post about it to the person that made it. And the other thing about script run is that it is a rule of averages, and the sim does not consistently track script run either. So like something might res out and have like 90 script run for the first frame that it's out, and then drop down to 0.001, and it's going to take the average of that. This is an extreme example.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to take the average of that to display the script run.
Wear a script run thing on yourself, like, or you could just res it and attach something, and you'll see your script time explode for like a second or so.
Right? Yeah, well, that's compiled. That's something different.
Yeah.
So
It's averaged over 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just.
But the thing is, it's not just the script time we've noticed, but when we actually inspect the objects in the state menu, it's also showing 64 kilobyte as the limit.
Well, just note the object down, who's the creator, and
it's entirely possible things like that are just
keep in mind
mistake.
But
the asset server also kind of took a shit for quite a while when LL was moving things.
Yeah, some guy that worked on the cloud might for that.
Well, I mean, you can understand where coming from about that HE lethal and all that in the script.
That's literally the grenade. It is.
I get that.
All right.
Hey,
settle down.
Handle it elsewhere.
Yeah. We will look at it. If it is a problem, I will take a look at it after this meeting.
If it's mono, it's mono. If it isn't, it isn't.
I will check them and we'll deal with it. Moving on from that, so let's get a chance to look at what Audio said here about small arms throwing bullets that are small arms doing LBA. That is dumb.
But it is not banned.
But it is not banned, which it should.
However, if somebody escalates because you are being a fucking retard, don't cry to somebody else when they start griefing you.
Please don't cry.
Hang on,
Yeah.
I actually.
The lone wolves, though.
One sec. I do think that something like that, like LBA bullets, should legitimately just be disallowed because
I agree.
It ruins things for lone wolves, and yes, there's always the if someone's being dumb, don't complain when someone shits on you.
We can have a vote on it.
When you have an entire group, hang on. When you have an entire group come in and start being dumb with LBA bullets, it kind of eliminates the possibility for someone to come in and be dumb against them.
Yeah.
So that's one of those situations where it's like, yes, you can run by the whole if someone's dumb, someone else will just come and shit on them. But when the majority of people are being dumb, all of the other people, like the lone wolves and the people who just want to come and do some basic combat and chill out, just get completely cast aside and pushed out of the region.
I will give lone wolves weapons to grief you if you do stupid shit here.
But the problem, the problem with that is now you're arming lone wolves who don't quite have someone to tell them, hey, don't use that.
Yeah.
Something that they'll go elsewhere and continue to use, and it's bad.
Here's the thing about LBA bullets. Can I say something?
Yeah, you go ahead.
I think LBA bullets should just be outright because I think the original purpose of LBA, aside from eliminating collision-based armor, was to cut down on events that armor is taking.
Yes.
And if you go immediately back to the days when machine gunning a tank was the best way to kill a tank, it completely negates the entire purpose of this.
And
okay,
I actually agree with Deli on that.
LBA bullets from infantry weapons.
Yes.
Yes.
Or even tanks. Yeah.
Even tanks. If it's a coaxial shooting at like 900 meters a second, it's
well, if it's a like an autocannon or something like that.
I
And
think
it
it
has a
depends on the
slow
rate of fire.
slow rate of fire autocannons and stuff like that.
Well,
it's not an issue.
that's why
That's
I
not
was
an
going
issue.
to.
Let's
Can I talk?
specify- Yeah.
All right, because I don't want to get into script or autism, and so we're not gonna like keep talking about this after I'm done. The best compromise that I can make is if you see something dumb and other people on the field agree that it is dumb, preferably other people in other groups are getting frustrated with it, contact a moderator, have the moderator look at it. If the moderator says that's stupid, they will tell the person to stop for that specific time to help alleviate any problems that there are. If the person then decides to argue after the moderator has said that's stupid, the moderator will begin either unsitting them or estate killing.
I think it would be better to just disallow them for infantry.
Okay, so let me explain why, because I said we were going to be done talking about this afterwards, but let me reiterate. The problem with this is that some people have AT autocannons that do fire at an automatic rate, but that is very slow. And then it's a matter of us telling everyone, like making an exception for one thing and not another thing, and one thing and not another thing. There's moderators here, and they're going to use their best judgment.
So basically, case by case is how it's going to be handled.
For the time being, unless it becomes a really serious
All right,
problem.
cool. I can. That's no problem.
Yeah,
I don't have a
if it
problem.
becomes a really serious problem where it's hogging up a lot of moderation time, which it very well might, and then we might retouch it and say just LBA bullets, like as in over 180 RPM, are just not allowed.
Okay. Scripter discussion done. Chris, like, just type it out. I was just trying to move on. Like we're fucking an hour in. There's like a few more things.
It's 3 seconds.
Oh, that's
okay,
fine.
go.
This is going well. I don't think this.
Go.
If your AT rifle is dealing more AT than a fucking rocket launcher, that's dumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
always
if you
had
use
that
it like a
problem with
fucking-
people.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just. I've always had a problem with people using like guns that do more like damage per second than a fucking tank cannon shooting AP rounds. It's a bit, sick, you know.
What is that thing called from Battlefield 1, but also in real life? The fucking tank sniper rifle K-bullets.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
fucking thing.
Those were shit though in World
They were
War One.
garbage. Yeah, they
Okay,
were.
okay, let's move on.
Okay, yeah, moving on. So this is still on the topic of gear, but we're not going to talk about the specific script aspects of it. This is talking about like gear issues. Every group is going to have something brought up here. I'm doing it in a community setting because ultimately it might get more shit done, and I want people to know that we're also handling issues. Grand Fed, you guys were using gas. The gas, if it was not raycast checked, fix it, or don't use it here.
It is.
Okay. Well,
Can I say something about that gas real quick?
I know the issue. I'm contacting Dread after this.
Okay, cool.
Then it is not raycasted because the raycast functionality is not working correct.
No, Raycast is the gas is simply having an issue of going through the wall and then trying to raycast.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
Okay,
so it's the
yeah,
thing
that's
I was talking about earlier. I gotcha.
So that's being fixed. Cool. Next up, riot shields. This is specifically regarding the Takoi purple shield thing.
The Scion one.
The Scion one, yes. I'm not going to directly ban it because riot shields are allowed. The thing is, though, is the fact that if you have a riot shield, if something that can be considered a riot shield, you need to not be able to use it while you're jumping.
That's gonna ban all riot shields. What I would say is if your riot shield is deployed, you cannot fire.
That's it. Fuck. That was the wrong thing.
Cheating's the one.
I have
Hang on,
hold on, slow down.
Yeah, it's riot shields and shooting. That's the problem.
Yes, if you have your riot shield on, you cannot shoot through it. That's it.
I think they should also have a health limit if that isn't already stated.
It's
deployable rule. Yeah,
Okay,
I
fair
think
enough.
what we say,
All right,
50.
cool.
50.
It was
50.
Yeah.
All right. On that on that topic about riot shields, Herwin can go first.
If I might interject, if there's an issue, I can pass something along. If vertical movement enhancers are allowed at any point in time, specifically in our riot shield, and I know people have their opinions on riot shields, I put in our riot shield a line of code that detects pretty much give or take any movement enhancer. So it allows for a standard jump. It reduces movement the entire time that it's deployed, but anything more than a jump, it will automatically disarm the shield. So
That's
if you use a grapple, a jetpack, anything, it just disarms it. And then when you touch back down on the ground, it rearms.
Such a neat.
That's,
That's
that's
just
a good idea.
aspect, yeah.
Ours is
That's
the
what I
same
want
thing.
to do with ours, actually, Cadet.
So,
And
Chris,
okay,
yours
well
is-
then-
on
Make it
on
so.
a sec- on a
Guys,
second
number
thing,
2.
though,
Yeah, what's up,
if
Chris?
the riot shield completely phantoms when you have the mouse hook trigger down, is that fine?
No, that's gay.
Why?
Because it means that you're kind of loopholing through the whole deployed versus undeployed rule. So basically, somebody can just tap through and shoot through the riot shield. It goes right back up the moment they let go. That's gay. It's making them invincible.
Thing with having the riot shield on C is that it takes a little bit of your attention to like undeploy and then deploy again, whereas that there's no like downside to
There's more
just tap
conscious decision.
Yeah.
I can live with that. That's just how it's been standard in SLMC for a while.
I got a question in regards to it's kind of similar to what Chris said, but instead of having it like instantly pop up, if you were to try to shoot through it, it will disable for a brief period of time. But is it after that time passes, it'll automatically pop back up? Is that okay as long as that time's reasonable?
Oh, that's a hard question to answer. I guess it depends on the amount of time.
If you give it a timeout.
Yeah, 5 seconds is a lot, actually. I would say
That's-
like 1 to 3 at maximum. Like 5 is...
That's a grenade cooldown.
Better, better suggestion would just be to have it go through the undeploy when you shoot.
Yeah, and then you have to redeploy it manually. That would be okay.
Okay, that I can update. Our
Yeah.
riot shields are not currently deployed, so I can adjust it however needed.
Ours is hold to deploy, so it kind of like requires a little bit of messing around with.
And make sure you crouch walk while you have it out. That's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the riot shield thing, 50 HP for that right now. If we decide to change it because people can't get their shit updated, we will consider that. It's just more or less, there are issues with some groups where scripters are hard to find. Sometimes groups have scripters, and sometimes you can. I'm going to say this because I was in Decredum. You can run your scripters off by being a prick. You know, that's pretty much how that ends up going. Scripters are hard to fucking find, and scripters are just there's so much work for them to do. So if something is in a situation where it cannot be updated immediately, we may start in the we may give kind of like a little leeway in some cases if it's something that's not dumb, just so we don't immediately ban someone's entire armory.
And
I
come
would
tell
be
us.
careful, and I would be careful about that because some people might actually just use that as an excuse to not update their shit. Because
well,
like,
that's the whole point
I
of.
have 300 guns that I all have to update. You know, that's going to take me a long time. And
Just
then
make
it
them
just
use
never
something
gets done.
that's distributed in the hub if they're using something questionable, and if they can't do that.
Or triage things,
Yeah.
like have them, say, okay, update, these guns, and then just use those for the time being until you get the other stuff updated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I did with Decredum.
Just a little bit more with the riot shield since it's the last topic of what everyone bitches
Hold on, excuse me, Niv. In accordance to I think what you're getting at is the Chimera, which is a heavy gun. I'll have to look into it though.
Does it open up when he's firing?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's probably fine. Chris, continue.
Alright, having auto melees in your shields is a little silly.
That's gay.
Yeah, and secondly, having these shields harm you if you fire at them in any way is also silly. And while we have the community here, it may also be pertinent to get the opinion on every other one that's here about the riot shield also shooting your bullets back. Not just directly, not just changing the name to make them ricochet off, but to physically shoot them.
It was
Hold on, let
funny
the
when
person responsible for it explain.
That's
let's
say Sage say his part real quick.
No, it was me that started that trend. I'm sorry, with
No.
the Turnus. It was funny when we did it to Vanguard. Okay, it was really fun.
Yeah, they'd shoot you with a shotgun and all their bullets would fly back.
Well, more like their gunship. They would take out their
Now,
fucking gunship.
Let me
let's say
explain this real quick. If you're talking about the psionic shield that only 2 people in Takoi have, only 2 people, mind you, me and Audio. That's it. That's the only people in Takoi that has this shield. Now let me explain something about it. It's psionics, which is supposed to be a play on lore of using the mental capacity of one's body. Blah 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 blah.
Give them a TLDR version.
So,
I don't care.
yeah, I'm getting to it. Well, what happens is if you shoot your gun at it, it's going to take the damage. Now, if you're sitting there taking like a chain gun and shooting at it, it has a 5% chance to reflect the damage that you do to it back at you. So if you're doing 100 damage, you're going to take 5 damage. It's not full on insta kill. it does small increments of damage. So if you shoot a rocket at it, it's done for. But if you're shooting at it with a Gatling gun, you're fucked.
I'm
That's
just
not
going
that
to
bad.
point out that only two. You say that only 2 people have it, but if only 2 people in your group are issued with NPVs, that's not an excuse to use them.
No
It's-
shit,
it's
it's
not-
not.
yeah,
But
it is.
you gotta understand. You got to understand. This is a
I'm just-
divisional thing. It's not
I'm-
an NPV thing. It's a divisional
No,
thing.
no,
The only
I'm-
reason
I'm-
they have it.
I am simply pointing that out because it's
Yeah,
it's
a
an
bit
approach that you want to
silly.
be careful of. However, I do think that making something that to damage it will hurt you for damaging it is in general really silly because in many cases someone might not have a rocket launcher to shoot at something like that, or they might not have the ability to switch things. But I know some guns out there, for whatever ungodly reason, you can't swap weapons with. So in many ways that might screw someone over. Not everyone has a
Okay.
like bullet hose Gatling gun.
Of course, but I mean, why if you don't? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it standard issue for just about everybody out here to have a grenade?
No. Wait.
No. Well, I mean, okay, in groups, yes, but not lone wolves. Lone wolves are very limited on what they have to use right now. That's
Not-
why these rules
How
are in
often-
place.
Hang on a sec. Not AT grenades either, because keep in mind that most people's grenades don't do like 50 AT AOE to things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
So
to mention legacy damage
Well,
can
like,
also trigger
well,
the shield's reflector.
Here's the thing: 225 grenades will kill the shield.
25 grenade is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was going to say
25 LBA is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hang on, most people's grenades do 15.
regardless, we can probably move past this because it has 100
it's
HP, not
irrelevant,
50,
yeah.
so it's not an issue right now until
Yeah.
it's updated.
And
So
there
we're
is
past.
Yeah, I gotta get Kirov to update that.
Yeah,
it is literally a 10-meter auto melee. That
yeah, it can't be used right now.
Yeah,
So
it's-
it's non,
as
it's
simple
literally
as
a
that.
non-issue. We will talk. I will talk to Villani and I will talk to Sage and see what can be changed. If there's like maybe a switch that can be changed to make it do something specific here if we last long enough. That's the problem. Is I'm not asking people to change a bunch of their shit because fuck knows how long this something lasts with how often you guys piss me off.
Yeah. Secondary was literally already making a replacement for it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, that's fine. But until that happens, it's not allowed to be used here.
Yeah, well, it's got 100 HP, so it's fine. Go ahead, Sin.
What's up, Sin?
One of the problems is lone wolves. General, your average lone wolves only has access to equipment from back in 2010, or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
There is fuck all lone wolf gear out there at the moment.
Yeah.
Which we as a group
Marketplace
are
guns
fixing.
are notoriously out of date. They're using open source gun cores from
Yeah,
2000.
they don't have grenades that do LBA damage. They don't have armor that doesn't do LBA.
Yeah.
I think the only thing on the market that does LBA is something with Sume.
Yeah, it's ultimately up to
Yeah.
you. It's up to the groups, and that's what we're trying to do with Error is having groups contribute if they're interested in trying to build up the sim armory thing, so we can arm up Lone Wolf. New groups get fucking on their feet. you've got fucking dick shit fucking Dread over here. You know, Scourge of the Galaxies releasing an AK and a bunch of other shit just so Lone Wolves have something to do, and he spent time to update that shit.
Yeah.
It's sitting in the
Yeah.
spawn.
Yeah,
and I'm also
and
gonna take the shit out here and stick it down here in the fucking warehouse next to the spawn so people can use the shit. But you guys gotta fucking support. I don't want your money. I just want you guys, if you have scripters or you're a scripter and you want to help out, throw in some time if you have it. Help the community. Don't be a detriment to it. You've got the secretary. I'm going to call you out real quick. Secretary, who was a notorious shit fuck for a long ass time, and he's turned a new leaf and is contributing.
Yeah, he's been very
trying to do
helpful.
Good things. He's been helpful.
Yeah.
Be like secondary. Don't be like design. Secondary design.
That Delineator guy. Fuck that.
Yeah, fuck
guy.
that Delineator guy.
No, that's not a fair comparison. Design doesn't script. Compare him to Robert Camacho.
Yeah, don't be a Robert Camachi.
Yeah, don't be a Robert.
I don't think anybody would want to be Robert.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I don't know, man.
Regardless-
He's Greek. He probably has a hairier chest than me. We should do a
Man,
comparison.
dude, you're a hairy motherfucker.
Oh my god.
You can blame
Yeah.
me for Robert.
Yeah, I know.
I hate
I enlisted him.
Yeah, fucking
We'll have
asshole.
we'll have a hairy chest
Lynch Sin. Let's
competition.
build a gallows and hangs him for his past crimes.
I lynched him and then I taught him to script.
Okay, is there anything else we need to cover, or is that about it?
No, that's pretty much it.
Cover my-
All I really want to say anymore is just thanks for fucking coming to the sim and try to be excellent to each other. Don't be.
All right.
Try not
And
to be.
now you're all banned. Now you're all banned. Fuck you.
We're closing the sim
Everybody that was
down.
in here
Come
is
on.
banned.
I have one. It's not for free. Fuck you, Cryptic. I have one.
It's free. Yeah, I'm getting it now.
Free real estate.
Thanks,
Would
Cryptic, for giving
would
out
it-
that gun for free.
Would it be possible at all from 6 p.m. SLT to 7 p.m. SLT to try combat with a grapple instead of the jetpack and sea?
On a day when I don't have a massive headache, I would be more than willing to moderate that.
So never.
Well, no, probably like tomorrow or the next day. Would that be
Yeah,
cool with you?
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we can do it.
We just have a very large collection of people, and it would get a very good testing right now.
That's
How long's the
true.
range?
Yeah. Dread, how long's the range?
Is it one of those reeling ones or?
No,
what's
it's
the
Dread's
decal?
grapple hook with the grenade
Oh, okay.
thing removed.
Cool.
So it's shit.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
It's a
better than
little
the bat
better than
hook.
that.
It is better than the bat hook.
Yeah.
One sec.
I don't think I have to check the range.
If it's
I don't
Dread's
think
grapple
it's-
hook, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be miserable using a grapple hook, by all
No,
means.
no. It's not Dreads. It's Syrinx's with Dreads fixes.
Oh, I do have one other thing. I think it's a really cool fucking system, and I kind of want to put it to the test here since we have so many fucking people. I want if GrandFed is interested in providing it as a test, I want to test the medic system. Since we don't have
absolutely.
time.
Oh boy, that's gonna take some time to set up.
Yeah, if
Well,
they're
it should
interested
be
in providing
providing a prim out, right?
yeah, fucking lazy scripters. What the fuck?
No. He has to define a box, and then he has to fucking get a script.
Yeah,
with
he-
experience.
Just make the whole sim
Hang
the
on.
box.
No, hang on. He actually defines the area of the spawn, so that way it doesn't go off in the spawn, and then you have people medicing each other inside the
Oh,
spawn.
I can do that right now.
okay.
It's just 2 vectors.
Well,
It's also
yes.
a block.
So the answer
He-
to the range for the grappling hook, there's no range for the Z, but there's 50 meters for an X and Y away from you.
I have to
50
check
meters,
mine.
alright.
Because then it nulls out its velocity and falls.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
matter if it's in spawn anyway. Just
Oh,
make
shit,
it check
there we
if damage is off.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true too.
It's still
Yeah.
gonna rest shit.
I didn't even know there was
No,
a
if
meeting.
it says if
I
damage is
sent
off,
email.
don't
I sent
res.
messages, fucker.
Dude, you're not.
We'll
cool
mess with it
enough to
later.
know,
It doesn't
fat
need to be
fuck.
done today.
Yeah, it's
no,
not today.
I
Thing.
just didn't see the notice. Oh, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
today?
No, no.
No, it's
No, the meeting's done.
You're
Yeah,
late.
You literally
Oh,
came at
okay.
the end.
Meeting?
You jackass.
Well, that's what I meant, you
Came at the
fucking
end, man.
asshole.
Oh,
So I can stop the recording right now.
Yeah.
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 technically.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
you're
everyone
recording
shout
me.
racial slurs before the recording stop.
Too late.
I'm gonna say the N word.
Jeez, denial.
Chris, if you guys can do the medic system and you guys want to test it here, we're totally cool for that. As for anyone that wants to provide guns and shit, Gunhaven being typical and being black and being late, why I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's up, my
Hey,
nigga?
what's up?
Fix the
Uh,
water, damn it.
level. Yeah, I was about to say, can we lower the water level?
Oh
Hey,
yeah, I
don't
should probably do that.
man. Oh wait, but my boat, dude.
I
Yeah,
didn't know.
boat.
I
You
was-
lost your,
I
you lost
was-
your boat license.
Bro, I
I was about to
fishing.
say-
Voting license
Wait,
revoked.
wait,
Alright, I'm out.
let me teleport.
You guys
you
are-
Yeah, we're
We're
done.
still in this street.
Fuck it,
We're
dude.
done.
My
This was
boat's
productive.
floating now.
Hey,
This was actually very fucking productive.
No one told me
I'm
there
very
was
impressed.
water. Fuck.
Hey, Niv.
Yeah, what's up?
Can I talk to you for a sec?
Okay, there is a bit of a line. Let me start with the first
Hey,
person
can
that
I
asked.
talk to you?
Yeah, you're next on the you're fourth on the list.
I'm going with
No,
Mario.
you already said I'm next.
I didn't meet you. Sorry, no.
No, you already said it first. No, take it back.
No speaky English.
Bullshit. Just because you moved to fucking Russian doesn't mean you don't know English.
Royal asked for some time afterwards.
black.
Ryo, you're afterwards. Dark, you're afterwards. Let me go to my first appointment real quick.
Oh man, my
What about
boat, dude.
Wrath?
Why would
Take
you
it ticket.
get my boat?
If you need my
Take it
time,
ticket.
if you need my time after this, send me a message in Discord. I'm deleting this channel now. Get the fuck out.
Hey, don't
What? No, you can't do that.